You're scrolling through your phone, surrounded by hundreds of friends and followers, yet you feel completely alone. Does this sound familiar? You're not imagining it, and you're definitely not alone in feeling this way. Nearly half of all adults in the US and UK report feeling lonely on a regular basis. That's more people than those affected by smoking, diabetes, or obesity combined. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most pressing challenges of our time: how to find real connection in a world that promises everything but often delivers emptiness. We'll explore why our brains are wired for connection, how digital technology both helps and hurts us, and most importantly, practical ways to build meaningful relationships that actually stick. Section 1: The Hidden Reality of Modern Loneliness. Understanding the scale. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Loneliness isn't just about being physically alone, it's about feeling disconnected from others, even when you're surrounded by people. Scientists have discovered that chronic loneliness literally changes our brain structure, making us more sensitive to social threats and less able to connect with others. Think of loneliness like hunger, but for human connection. Just as your body signals when it needs food, your brain sends out distress signals when it needs social connection. The problem is, in our modern world, we've become really good at ignoring these signals. The digital paradox. Here's where things get interesting and a bit ironic. We live in the most connected era in human history, yet loneliness rates have never been higher. It's like having a feast of junk food when what you really need is nutrition. Social media promised to bring us together, but instead, it often leaves us feeling more isolated than ever. We see carefully curated highlights of everyone else's lives while living with the full reality of our own struggles. It's like comparing your behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. The science behind the feeling. Your brain doesn't distinguish between physical pain and the pain of rejection. When you feel left out or disconnected, the same areas of your brain light up as when you're physically hurt. This isn't just poetry or metaphor, it's literal neuroscience. But here's the hopeful part. Just as your brain can learn to feel lonely, it can also learn to feel connected again. The key is understanding the difference between being alone and being lonely. Section 2: Quality over quantity, building real connections. The hierarchy of connection. Not all connections are created equal. A video call with a close friend feels different than a text message, which feels different than a social media like. Scientists call this social presence, the feeling that someone is really there with you, not just digitally available. Think of it like this. Imagine you're really thirsty. A few drops of water might help, but what you really need is a full glass. Social media interactions are like those few drops. They might provide temporary relief, but they can't satisfy your deeper need for real connection. The power of vulnerability. Here's something that might seem backwards. The more perfect you try to appear, the lonelier you'll feel. Real connection happens when we share our authentic selves, including our struggles and imperfections. There's a beautiful paradox here. When you have the courage to be vulnerable and share something real about yourself, you give others permission to do the same. It's like opening a window in a stuffy room. Suddenly, everyone can breathe easier. Micro interactions matter. You don't need grand gestures to build strong relationships. Sometimes the smallest interactions create the biggest impact. A genuine "how are you doing?" text, remembering someone's important day, or simply making eye contact during a conversation. These tiny moments add up. Think of relationships like a garden. You can't just plant seeds and expect them to grow without regular watering, but you also don't need to flood them all at once. Consistent, small acts of care create stronger bonds than occasional grand gestures. Moving from digital to physical. One of the biggest challenges today is transitioning online friendships into real-world connections. It can feel awkward or forced, like trying to translate a beautiful poem into a different language. But here's a simple truth. Most people are just as nervous about this transition as you are. Start small. Suggest a coffee meeting, a walk in the park, or joining an activity together. The goal isn't to recreate your online dynamic perfectly, but to discover new dimensions of your friendship. Section 3: Creating community in your daily life. Finding your third place. Sociologists have identified something called third places, spaces that aren't home or work where regular social interaction happens naturally. These might be coffee shops, community centers, hobby groups, or even online communities that meet regularly. The magic of third places is that they remove the pressure of forced interaction. You're all there for a shared reason, whether it's great coffee, learning pottery, or discussing books, so conversation flows more naturally. The magic of micro communities. Here's something interesting. Research shows that we can only maintain meaningful relationships with about 150 people, and truly close relationships with maybe 15. Yet we often try to connect with thousands online. Small, focused communities of 10 to 50 people create much stronger bonds than massive networks. It's like the difference between a cozy dinner party where everyone knows each other and a crowded stadium where you're just another face in the crowd. Purpose-driven connection. People connect most deeply when they're working towards something meaningful together. This could be volunteering for a cause you care about, joining a sports team, learning a new skill, or even working on a project at work. There's something powerful about shared struggle and shared purpose. When you're all working toward the same goal, individual differences become less important, and genuine teamwork emerges. Practical steps you can take today. Let's get practical. Start by identifying one area where you'd like to connect with others. Maybe it's fitness, cooking, reading, or helping in your community. Next, commit to showing up consistently. Relationships are built on reliability and trust, which develop over time through repeated positive interactions. You don't need to be the most outgoing person in the room, but you do need to be present and genuine. Section 4. Overcoming the barriers. Social anxiety in digital spaces. Many people assume that online interaction is easier than face-to-face conversation, but that's not always true. Digital communication can create its own anxieties. The fear of being left unread, misunderstanding tone, or feeling pressure to respond immediately. If you struggle with social anxiety, start small and be patient with yourself. Practice active listening, ask genuine questions about others, and remember that most people are more focused on themselves than judging you. Breaking the perfectionism trap. Social media has trained us to present only our best moments, but real connection happens in the messy, imperfect, everyday moments. When you share only your highlights, you're essentially wearing a mask that prevents others from seeing and connecting with the real you. Try this. Next time you post something online, consider sharing something real alongside the polished image. Maybe it's the failed attempts before the perfect photo, or how you're actually feeling that day, not just what you're doing. The fear of rejection. Here's a truth that might sting a little. Rejection is a normal part of human interaction. Not everyone will want to be your friend, and that's okay. The goal isn't to be liked by everyone, but to find the people who appreciate the real you. Think of social rejection like being turned down for a job. It doesn't mean you're unemployable, just that it wasn't the right fit. The more you practice putting yourself out there, the more resilient you become and the better you get at finding your people. Section 5. The path forward. Building your personal action plan. Creating meaningful connections isn't about following a perfect formula. It's about being intentional with your time and energy. Start by doing an honest assessment of your current relationships. Which ones energize you and which ones drain you? Make a commitment to invest more time in the relationships that matter most. This might mean saying no to some social obligations so you can say yes to deeper connections. The ripple effect. Here's something beautiful about building genuine connections. It creates a positive ripple effect. When you feel truly connected to others, you're more likely to reach out, be kind, and create connections for other people too. You become part of the solution to loneliness, not just for yourself, but for your entire community. Every genuine smile, every thoughtful question, every moment of real presence contributes to a more connected world. Remember, progress, not perfection. Building meaningful connections is a skill that develops over time. Some days will feel more successful than others, and that's completely normal. The goal isn't to never feel lonely again. That's unrealistic. The goal is to develop the tools and relationships that help you move through lonely moments more quickly and with greater resilience. We've covered a lot of ground today, from understanding the science of loneliness to practical strategies for building real connections. The most important thing to remember is this. You are not alone in feeling lonely, and there are concrete steps you can take to change your situation. Your next step doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe it's sending a thoughtful message to an old friend, joining a local group, or simply putting your phone away during your next conversation. I want to hear from you. What's one small step you're going to take this week to build more meaningful connections? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start building a community right here. If this video resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content. Remember, every small step toward connection is a step toward a richer, more fulfilling life.